Okay, so let me welcome our partners from Spain, Italy, Portugal, and France, and okay, as well as our speakers. I'm very glad to be here today in Dąbrowa Górnicza, the city which is very famous for the cooperation with inhabitants and also with the social sector, with the first sector. So for me, it's today the chance to mention all the most important issues we're dealing with in Dąbrowa Górnicza, but as it was seen before during our exercise, we mainly have the similar problems all over Europe. And it doesn't matter if we are in Dąbrowa Górnicza or in Italy, in France, Portugal, Spain, we're dealing the same problems and we have the same opportunities to talk together and to work together, not only in the MIT project, but also in our daily life. So let's start with the history of Dąbrowa Górnicza cooperation and involving third sector or the social sector economy in building the local capacity of and resilience. We have to turn back to 2007 because it all started like 15 years ago. Further mayor, he wanted to be a part of a big family of cities which involve inhabitants and third sector or social economy sector in all the important issues. So the priorities we've mentioned before is to be a green city, to be the city with and for inhabitants, to be a city based on the local and international knowledge, to be the know-how city, and also to be the city developed and run by the social impact and on the social economy. That means in 2007, we started the history of involving people in all the actions. Of course, it's easier to involve the groups of people, not as in individual ones. So we tried to force the forum of the NGOs. And nowadays, we've got about 280 social economy organizations in Dąbrowa Górnicza. How many do you have in Italy and Spain and Portugal or in France, in your cities? Do you know? Andrea? Do you know how many do you have?
You mean how many associations?
Yeah, in your cities, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult because we have nominal association and we have real association. So Valsamoggia, for instance, is a small place.
Yeah.
Is 30,000 inhabitants. So we have, I don't know, say 20, 25 that are real organization, I would say. So they exist, they have a structure, they do practical things nearly every day in different fields. And then you have a galaxy, which is much more, I would say, mobile, of smaller organizations, which are little groups of people doing something maybe in a certain period of the year, or organizing a particular event every year or something like that. So smaller, more agile, more fragile because they don't stay forever. Okay.
Okay, in Hernani they have 35 associations, as Iran wrote on the chat. And what about Portugal and France?
Here in Portugal, in Famalicão, we have more or less 15 social organizations and more than 2,000 sports associations, more or less.
And in France? Lauren, do you know?
No, I don't know.
Okay. So for us, it's important not only to know how many of them, but also, as Cristiano mentioned, what kind of organizations are there. Because sometimes they are very small, just the groups of interest, people who have a similar hobbies, but they are also important to the local community because they build the sustainable development of their own gaps. So for us, it's important to know that not all of them are involved in the high level and are going to deal with the problems, but they also represent the groups of people who wanted to spend the time together. So we established the forum. That means that it's a discussion group between organizations, and we wanted to be the kind of think tank because we wanted to have the strong vision of our city built with them and for them, because we strongly believe that people are the most important in the cities. So we started the cooperation with NGOs, but further on, we decided to make the step back, because not only organizations are important, but also inhabitants. That's why we wanted to join the process of the consultations. We've been talking about this on the last meeting and also on our institute meetings in Hernani. But we wanted to make people to join the deliberative bodies. So we have got 29 deliberative bodies in Dąbrowa Górnicza, and you can just spend time, discuss the whole problems, also make the conceptions how it should look like in the future. Further on, Wojtek will tell you about the process of a living factory and how we joined people in these actions. But it's also important that all inhabitants could play an important role. So you and also Agnieszka will mention how it's possible to be an individual and to have an important role in Dąbrowa Górnicza, and not only, but the whole region. So for us, it's important that we've got these deliberative bodies, such as the youth body. It contains 35 young people who are creating the local policy about themselves, and they are also having the meetings with the mayor, and they are discussing the local problems from their position and their reality, as well as the senior bodies, so they can contact together, get meetings, and also discuss important problems. Okay, and I think it's all what we do in Dąbrowa Górnicza. You've got opportunities to talk about this and also to know all issues during the meetings. But now you will have opportunity to listen to Wojtek and to Agnieszka, and they will explain in details how we do it in Dąbrowa Górnicza.
Okay, so I have some questions, but maybe no, I'm not sure. Maybe they will answer with the Maybe I will keep it. Anybody else has a? I mean, you were very quick, so
it should be short.
We have plenty of time.
Okay.
So, anybody?
So we can answer the questions. Okay.
Yeah. No. Anybody else has a question on this first session about what they do there? About this forum? Okay, Andrea.
I had a question, but I don't know if they will answer it also.
Well, do it. We will
do it. Let's do it. If I will knew that they will answer later, I would think, okay, you will have it later. Okay.
Here we have several thematic associations. We have the social associations. We have the sports associations, as Francisco mentioned. We also have cultural associations, youth associations, and recreative local associations. I wanted to know if, and usually we work with a specific group. We grab all of the sport associations and we work with them. We call the youth associations and we also work with them. I think it's not usual to try to mix them all and call them together. Did you do it all together also?
Okay. with your question. Cristiano, do you want to ask your question now or later on?
Well, my question is very similar. It's about the process, because along the journey of the project, we tried to highlight the problem of the process of this kind of participation in many different ways. And also in the exercise we did before, polarization was emerging. So normally what we see around the world is polarization is playing a role even when you start calling and creating this kind of forums. So I would like to know if you design a general and a particular process for this kind of activity, but maybe this will be explained later on. I don't know.
Okay, so I will explain the two issues. The first one is how we cooperate with different associations. Of course, in Dąbrowa Górnicza, we have different kind of association. Most of them deal in sport or culture, or maybe on social issues, because it's the most important, and also it makes the hobbies. So for the sport and cultural ones, it's good to know that you can spend your free time with them. But in general, we wanted to make the forum of them all. Why? Because we knew it's important to know the different points of view and different aspects of the same situation. Because when we meet, and we really meet in the specific issues. For example, today during the evening time, we will have the meeting with the sport and tourist associations, because we want to make the priorities in this part of our all development for the next year. So we are meeting with them only. But after all these meetings, we've got several meetings with the different sorts of associations during this week and the next one. We will have the one together, because we wanted to show them, okay, maybe from your point of view, sport is the most important because you are the sport club. And for you, of course, for example, playing basketball, soccer, or volleyball is the most important. But from the main issue of Dąbrowa Górnicza, sport is important, as well as the ecology is important. Maybe it's even more important to have the good social issues, not only in to be good in sport. So first of all, we are trying to make priorities on the one level, for example, in the sport. We also discuss with all these organizations, not only from the balls, but also the water sports, also this one who just run, do Nordic walking, who are responsible for the people with disabilities, and also the tourist attractions, also about the walks, and all you can associate with sport and with leisure time or with tourism. So we are making the priorities, and then we are trying to make the priorities for the city. And sometimes we talk about money. Mostly we talk about money, where we should spend our money for, because it's easy to say, okay, we will give all the money to the sport organization. For sure, they will manage to spend them. Yes, but is the sport really the most important in our city? Maybe it's also important to have good cultural organization, to get some connected with education, with long life learning, maybe with social services, because it's good to know the different aspects of living, and also to build partnerships, because during the COVID time, it showed us, okay, there were some sport organizations and they were really well prepared to organize the process, because they knew how to organize the run, for example, from the very beginning, when you have to sign up for the run till the end. So when you give your own medal, and we use them during the COVID time, because they were really good prepared to be the host of the process. So we told them, okay, now you are more needed in this area. Use your own knowledge, use your people, use your equipment, technique, and technology to organize the process during the COVID time. And it's not about sport, it's about helping people. So now use your know-how in the different situations. And when Cristiano, you asked about how we designed the process. At the very beginning in 2007, we didn't design it. We just wanted to have the forum, which will be the think tank for the city, which will give us also the feedback of what we are doing. But nowadays we've got the whole year process and it's divided into the parts. So nowadays during the holiday time, we were making the priorities with the NGOs. So we ask them what they're supposed to do in the next year, how much money do they want from the city, how much money or things or voluntary actions there will be given to this whole thing. And now during the September time, we are discussing with them how we can cooperate. Is it okay that we spend money on that or this issue, or how we can be partners to gain the projects from the EU, from the region. And also we will have the documents. It's called the year program of cooperation between NGOs and the state. And in this program, we'll make priorities, we will make the forms, we will make all the needed things. It's just like the constitution between us and them, just like a plan. So the next year we are trying to fulfill this plan. And we have also the document that shows, okay, it can be done, it failed, it went good. So now we've got the process and it's whole year long. So we start to prepare this document in June. We are sending letters to all the or emails nowadays, but further were letters to all the organizations, and we invite them to be involved in these actions of the planning. So everyone was informed about this. It's very important that we are not only informing this one who we were cooperating before, but also the new ones. The new organizations are even more welcome because they are the new one and have brighter, maybe sometimes ideas for cooperation. And we are making the plans. They meet also together without us as a municipality to make their own plans. So they are like the sports organization together and cultural, but alone without anybody from the city. And then we've got the feedback from them, the meetings with the representatives of the mayor, and then we've got this document. And we are trying to make the actions, the project together during the whole next year. And it's also evaluation, because on the very beginning of the next year, so it's like February, we're taking meetings. What can be done better, for example? What can we do better in the future? What failed? What has been done we didn't expect it to be? So it's an evaluation. And we also wanted them to give us feedback during the process, because we meet from time to time, once every month, to discuss what we gain, what our goals, what there are some very important steps. So it's the process nowadays.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Very interesting. How do you make decision within this process when you have to make a decision? They just vote on.
We are trying to cooperate and to take the problem. We don't want to vote. The further on, it was like this, but we were talking until we make the decision. Okay, so
so consensus, more or less.
Yeah, it's time consuming, but it's involved and give you the feedback from the different opinions, and you also can clarify your vision, because people ask you a lot of questions. So we are not voting, we are trying to be as precise as possible, but during the talks, meetings, and what's important, we wanted these meetings to be the short one, like 2-3 hours, not longer, because people, they don't want to give the energy to the long meetings. But sometimes from time to time, we also make the review of the meetings. So we ask the different actors, how do they feel about what we've already prepared? So we are not voting.
Okay, thank you.
Can I raise a question?
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
I would like to know if you have a strategy towards the fact that you probably, just like us, you have strong associations and very, very weak one, shall we put it this way? So two completely different levels normally. The big ones tend to be almost professional, while the small ones are really very amateur sometimes. And do you have a strategy? And do you count with all of them? How do you tackle this problem?
Okay. It's of course the problem of all of us, because there are some professional associations, they run like firms, entrepreneurships, and it's easier to cooperate them because they're really well prepared to meetings and they always know how much money do they want for the issue on active and so on. But we make the plan, and in this plan, in this document, we all agreed that they are all equal during the process. So it doesn't matter if you are the club, the sport club, the very professional one, which is running, for example, the incubator for social economy sector, or even for films, or if you are the hobby meetings for cat lovers, just like say, because you are all involved in the process, you are all more than welcome. And on the process, we are giving the floor to all of them. So during the meetings, we also moderate them. So we've got the people who are responsible for that the weaker associations will be given the floor also. And we are all open. We ask the different questions in the different way. We are trying to use the simple language, not to use the technical one from the EU level, but also the people-friendly language to involve them in the actions. And when we are talking about money, we've got the special strategic point for the new organization, because sometimes during the call for proposals, you are giving some points for being well prepared to the process, yes? So if you are a new organization, you couldn't make this process just only by notes. So we all decided with all the organizations to give them 2 more points for this who are on the beginning of this way. So 2 points, it's a small amount, but on the other hand, it's help you to, for example, to be given the money. So 2 points if you are a young association when you last not longer than 18 months. So we are trying to give the special points to the new one with new ideas for this one who wanted just to join the process.
Okay.
Isabel, we cannot hear you.
Sorry. And do you have any strategy in order to turn those weak and small and amateur associations into stronger ones?
Yes, we've got 2 policies, because I'm responsible for the one cooperating with the NGOs, and a friend of mine is responsible for the cooperation with inhabitants. But in the strategy, we've got also the activity center. This is the place I work in, and we are trying to advise them how to be the stronger one, how to deal with people, also how to write down the project, how to turn ideas into the project, how to work with entrepreneurs, So yes, we've got the strategy. They can come to the place I work in and to meet with the encounter or with a lawyer or with the other staff, and they will give you the whole knowledge and also the possibility to be incubated to be a stronger one. And of course, it's for
Thanks.
free. You don't have, as a weak organization, you don't have to pay for this. It's like the municipality center for the organizations. This one we've got the cultural place in Hernani. We've been through. I also work in the small house, but it's the house for NGOs and active people. So yeah. We've got this policy and this strategy how to develop the weak organization, and also the informal groups, how to make them to be the organization.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other question?
Maybe one more thing I can mention, because we are talking about the organization, but I told you also about the deliberative bodies. With the senior body and youth body, we've got also the ones for the bike policy in Dąbrowa Górnicza, but also the one who is responsible for the cultural aspects, and also the one who is responsible for the sports aspect and so on. And for us, it's very important to have the different actors involved in the actions. So not only the people from the city, not only people from the institutions, but also people from NGOs. And how do we make these bodies? We've got this forum of the NGOs I've mentioned before. We created in 2008 because it was 1 year after, it was established 1 year after the process began. And now we've got 88 active organizations in this forum. So they are meeting once a full month, and they are talking about the problems connected with the city and also with the social aspects of, for example, economy, and about all the activities. And they give the representatives to the bodies. And these representatives on these meetings, they all are asking how they can solve the problems. So they're representatives, but they're giving the feedback back to this forum, and also they're trying to make these opinions or strategies together. So it doesn't matter that you are, for example, representative of one of these sport organizations, but you talk about the different problems and about the solutions with the all actors of the forum. So it's the big value, because you are representative, and after all, you have to come back for the meeting and tell them, okay, I decided to, for example, to vote for this bike lane because it was important not only from my point of view as an inhabitant, but also from the people with disabilities, because they have, for example, easier way to get to the school or something like this. And I really recommend you to have these deliberative bodies. I know it's time consuming, but you don't have to make very big consultation, but only to have representatives. And if you want to make the decisions quicker than making the public announcement and so on, you can use this kind of bodies.